Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. Edwin Sifuna today stormed Kitengela in style during his first public rally after he was removed as the Secretary General of ODM Party. And I followed that event very closely. And I must confess that I'm actually shocked at the reception they got during that particular event. And from today's event, William Ruto and Oburu Odinga must be very, very careful. Because if they want to be very careful, this team has the potential of sending them home in 2027.
Kwa mapenzi ya Mwenyezi Mungu, nasimama hapa Kitengela tarehe 15 mwezi wa pili mwaka 2026 nikiwa bado katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM. Senator wa kaunti ya Nairobi na naibu kiranja wa walio wachache. Munanijua? Mimi ni nani? Asanteni sana, tumekuja hapa na viongozi wengi. Nataka nipewe list ya viongozi.
In this video, I want us to dissect a few things from that rally. Before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I want us to talk about is the reception. Because it was terrific. It was terrifying. It was electric. In fact, I don't even if Ruto Odinga ever received such kind of a reception in Kitengela. But I think maybe Rigathi got such kind of a reception after he was impeached. But from the crowd was really charged. And what can we learn from that? What message are we getting from the reception in Kitengela? Because that's the most important thing. For me, the first thing I'm getting is that the Gen Z factor is actually the driving force behind this team. I'm saying this because, you know, Gen Z wanted to remove Ruto from office after the finance bill, but Ruto Odinga stopped them. So they left the street because of Raila Amolo Odinga. Ruto Odinga then joined William Ruto's government. Ruto Odinga then joined broad-based government. But two individuals refused. That is Edwin Sifuna and Babu Owino. And the Gen Zs during those time took note. And that's why the two have continued being the darling of the young people. And that's why even after Sifuna left this rally, because it was tear gassed, at Nyayo Stadium where this rugby, you could clearly tell that the Gen Zs were fully behind him. So if I were to advise President Ruto, I think he must find a way of reaching out to the agencies, because this group are still very angry and still very bitter with him. They're just waiting for the right time. That's the first thing. Number two, in terms of reception, is perception. You see, politics is a perceptual game. And very few people, of course, the moment Sifuna was removed from the party, it was clear that he had sympathizers. But something was not very clear, how he was going to be received. In fact, when they went to Busia themselves, because some of their members are my friends, they told me they were actually shocked at the reception. So they had planned, this rally was not supposed to be in Kitengela. It was supposed to be in Vihiga. But I think after he was removed then, now they realized that going to Busia, then going to Vihiga was going to work against them. And that's why they picked Kitengela. And you know Kitengela, those who've been there in Kitengela, you know, Kitengela, it's easy to really just charge the crowd. So perceptionally, from today, one thing is going to be clear, that this team is going to be perceived to be very strong. In fact, can Kalonzo Musyoka pull such kind of a crowd in Kitengela? Can, say, Oburu Odinga pull such kind of a crowd in Kitengela? Can Matiang'i pull such kind of a crowd? So that perception that this team is strong is now there. It's upon them now to sustain it. And number three, in terms of reception, there is the element now of acceptability. Kitengela is kind of cosmopolitan. You can't say Kitengela is a lawyer, you can't say it's a Luo, you can't say it's Maasai, you can't say it's Kisis, you can't say it's Kikuyus. Although it's predominantly Kikuyus and to some extent Kambas and to some extent even the Maasais, but in general, it's a cosmopolitan area. So which means if they could be received like this, they have been accepted. But there's a challenge for them. And this is going to be dangerous for them. And I think Sifuna and his team will be thinking over it. There is normally what is called momentum. Will they be able to sustain the momentum? Because by last year, some people believed very strongly that the former Chief Justice, David Maraga, was going to win the presidency. The momentum was there, disappeared. At the peak of the Gen Z protest, we had one man, Okeya Omtata, to an extent that Kenyans really pushed him to run. He even commissioned an opinion or maybe a study to conduct the viability of his candidature. And that study gave the report that Kenyans wanted him. Where is Okeya Omtata today? He lost the momentum. Sifuna and the group must be very careful with the next three rallies. Because if the second rally will flop, that will be the end of them. And that's why I would recommend for them 100% that they should not make a mistake of holding the next rally outside Nairobi. And if they have to go outside Nairobi, I recommend for them to hold the next rally either in Kitale, if not Kitale, in Kakamega, if not in Kakamega, in Kisii, if not in Kisii, in Machakos. Because if they can't sustain the momentum from Kitengela, Kenyans will forget about that. So that's as far as the reception is concerned. Let me talk now about the attendance. The people who attended. I saw Babu Owino there.
Babu! 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 Babu!
I saw Nyonka there. Sifuna was there. But there are people who attended this event, not physically, but through proxies. Yeah, let me give you the list. I saw the presence of Uhuru Kenyatta at this event. I saw it when I saw Pauline Njoroge. Not only Pauline Njoroge, K24 was live streaming this event. Actually, you can say that K24 took this event personally. So I can easily conclude that Uhuru Kenyatta was present in Kitengela. The other guy who was there through proxy was none other than Fred Okengo Matiang'i. For those who are keenly following that event, you saw Matiang'i's allies at this event, including Richard Onyonka. Winnie Odinga was not here physically, but Winnie Odinga was present at this event through proxies. There are several people close to Winnie who were at this event. Maybe I should not mention them because most of them are not elected, but Winnie was physically present, which means this is where Winnie Odinga's heart is. So that's about attendance. The other thing I want to talk about is the narrative. What came out from this event? Again, yote yawezekana. These guys are trying to recreate the 202 momentum. Bila kanu, yote yawezekana, bila kanu. And of course, the mapambano, the spirit of defiance, which is very good for them. But there's another dangerous thing or aspect to the event today. Why? There is the mimi ndio Sifuna. Ama Sifuna ni sisi. That narrative is dangerous. Because today's event created casualties. The first casualty is Babu Owino. Previously, Babu Owino would have easily carried the crowd. If you go online, Kenyans are like, now, Sifuna ameshapita Babu Owino. So when it comes now to ODM politics, Babu Owino wanted to become the leader. Sifuna is not going to be the party leader, even if they were to break out of ODM. The other guy is James Orengo. I had expected James Orengo to be the main guy at this event because he's a senior counsel to Edwin Sifuna. But Edwin Sifuna overshadowed James Orengo. The other casualty is Oburu Odinga. These guys are now proving that it was a mistake to remove them. And of course, Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Matiang'i. These guys pulled this kind of a crowd. Can Kalonzo pull this kind of a crowd in Kitengela? Can Matiang'i pull this kind of a crowd in Kitengela? If they can't, what will they use to convince this team to support them? It's almost zero. And that's how William Ruto is going to win. William Ruto is going to win because the opposition will not agree on a candidate, on the best candidate to face Ruto. Until next time, this is Lima Queen. Bye-bye.